Edgar was born in around 943, when his father Edmund was about 22. At the time, Edmund was ruling as King of the English. When Edgar was about 3 years old, his father was murdered. His older brother Eadwig was just 5 at the time and considered far too young to rule such a battle-hardened land. Instead, their uncle Eadred, his father's 22-year-old younger brother, became king. King Eadred ruled for around 9.5 years. He died childless, so in 955 Eadwig, then around 15, was crowned king. Edgar's older brother Eadwig proved an unpopular ruler, and 2 years into his reign in 957, it was decided that the kingdom would be split. Eadwig would continue to rule Wessex in the south, but his younger brother Edgar, aged 14, would take over as King of Mercia and Northumbria. This wouldn't last long, as Eadwig died in 959 at the age of 19. Eadwig died just shy of 4 years into his reign, and the crown passed to Edgar, who was about 16 at the time. Edgar would go on to rule for just over 15 years, dying in 975 when he was about 32. You can learn more about King Eadwig and King Edmund by watching our previous videos, linked below. Edgar would rule England for 16 years, until his death in 975. In our timeline, he comes here, ascending to the throne almost 100 years after his great-grandfather, Alfred the Great. He's known as Edgar the Peaceful, primarily because his rule is characterised as being a stable period, in comparison to his predecessors who had struggled to unite the kingdom and keep it together. Edgar introduced laws, such as fines for the non-payment of tithes, and he standardised measurements across the kingdom, which had the effect of drawing the English closer together. To ensure no challenges to his rule, professional armies policed the north, while a navy guarded the shores from Viking raids. Though he became king in 959, his coronation at Bath would not take place until 973, 14 years into his reign. The coronation was significant, because soon afterwards all the other kings of Britain, including the King of the Scots and the King of Strathclyde, came forward to pledge their support for Edgar. Edgar's private life was perhaps anything but peaceful, especially considering it would lead to a dispute over which of his sons should succeed him. Edgar had married before he'd become king, and his first son was born 3 years after he was crowned. This child would succeed him as king, and come to be known as Edward the Martyr. Because Edward's legitimacy was questioned, powerful factions within England thought that Edgar's son by his third marriage, Ethelred, should be king, not Edward. Edgar's first wife died, after which he reportedly abducted a woman, Wilfreda, from a nunnery. He lived with Wilfreda for 2 years and even had a daughter with her. In around 964, though, Edgar married again, this time to Elfrith, the widow of one of his ealdormen. The story goes that Edgar had heard of Elfrith's beauty and sent his ealdorman to arrange a marriage for him. Instead, the ealdorman married Elfrith. The ealdorman in question, Ethelwald, mysteriously died in a hunting accident soon afterwards, enabling Edgar to marry her. His younger son Ethelred would eventually be crowned king, but as he was too young at the time, his mother Elfrith would act as regent until he came of age. Edgar died in 975 at Winchester, when he was around 32. He was succeeded by his son Edward, who you can learn more about in our next video. Please remember to hit the subscribe button below to receive an alert when we upload our next video. You can also support us via Patreon using the link below.